They warned me the first time I stepped off the shuttle. Whatever you do, don't let her get emotional. Don't make sudden gestures. Don't compliment her scales. And for the love of every insurance policy in the Outer Rim, do not flirt with her. Good advice in theory. Utterly useless in practice. Because the moment I met her, Kilira of the Embered Flight, I forgot every warning. The diplomatic chamber was colder than I expected, probably on purpose. Dragon variants liked heat, but the station designers preferred not to risk spontaneous combustion, panic attacks, or the occasional molten chair. The air hummed with recycled chill, the lights were dim, and the station staff had that look you only see in people who work next to a loaded nuclear reactor and pretend everything is fine. And there she was. Not a monster. Not the terror in the reports. Not the Category Amber threat level, emotionally volatile disaster they promised. She was breathtaking. Tall, yes. Majestic, definitely. Scales that shifted in color like smoldering coals. Wings tucked close to her body with careful restraint. Her eyes, deep molten gold, watched every movement I made like she expected me to either run or explode at any second. And she was trying very, very hard not to glow. Glowing, according to the orientation briefing, meant rising emotional intensity. Rising emotional intensity meant heat surges. Heat surges meant the sprinkler system would trigger. The sprinkler system, due to a famous design flaw, was flammable. Yes. Fire suppression fluid that catches fire. Welcome to the galaxy. Human Anva, she said, voice low enough to vibrate in my ribs. You are Jace Marin? That's me, I answered, hoping my voice didn't crack like a teenager meeting his celebrity crush. You must be Kilira. Her wings twitched, barely, almost invisible unless you knew how to look. It was the dragon equivalent of blushing. I am, she said softly. Though I prefer Kale. No one had told me that part. A nickname? A personal name? A sign of trust? Or maybe she just wanted to sound less like a mythological disaster waiting to happen. I stepped forward and froze when I noticed the tray beside her. Food samples. 6 different fruits. 1 tiny cake. A bottle of human tea steeped incorrectly and aggressively. She'd prepared refreshments. For me. But the station report said she was incapable of soft emotional gestures. Which meant one of 2 things. Either the bureaucrats lied, or she was trying harder than any of them ever realized. Is this for me? I asked. I researched human greeting customs, she said stiffly. You offer food to show friendliness and nonviolent intent. That's not wrong, I admitted. She shifted her claws, suddenly awkward. I was informed that humans appreciate sweetness. I attempted sweetness. Twice. The first attempt crystallized. Crystallized? It became a weapon. I coughed to hide a laugh. And the second attempt? She gestured to the slightly lopsided cake. Non-lethal. Probably. Her tone was dry enough to power a desert colony. I stepped closer. She did not move, but her tail tightened around her leg like she was restraining every instinct to flee or defend. Kale, I said, testing her preferred name, feeling it slide warm across my tongue. Her pupils widened. Oh. She liked that. I pretended I didn't notice. It's good to meet you, I said. She blinked. You are not afraid. I was told I should be. And yet, you are not. I shrugged. Maybe I have bad instincts. She exhaled slowly, her temperature easing. Or maybe, she said, you see what others refuse to. There it was, the loneliness. Subtle but sharp, a note in her voice like the echo of an empty cavern. She'd been isolated. Misjudged. Handled like a volatile specimen, not a person. I felt something twist in my chest. I shouldn't have. But I did. Kale, I said quietly. You're not dangerous to me. Her wings froze. Her glow brightened a fraction. And her voice, when she finally spoke, was unsteady in a way that rattled something deep in me. You should not say things like that, she whispered. Why not? Because, she said, gaze flickering away. I want to believe you. The honesty hit harder than any heat surge could. She took a small step back, not because she feared me, but because she feared herself. My emotions, she murmured, can escalate. Strong feelings generate heat. Humans are fragile. You, especially you, should keep distance. Especially me? I echoed. She clamped her wings tight. I did not mean, it is simply that you look at me differently. My breath hitched. Oh, I said. She made a strangled noise. Not that I require your gaze. I am merely observing. Her claws tapped the floor in rapid embarrassment. I am speaking too much. You're fine, I said gently. I am not fine, she said, glowing brighter. You are very human. Thank you. That is not a compliment, she said, mortified. Humans are chaotic, emotional, unpredictable. You create connection where there should be caution. And is that what you want? I asked. Caution? Her breath trembled. No, she said. But it is what I was told I should want. Something changed in the air then, careful, electric, unavoidable. A spark between two people who were absolutely not supposed to be standing this close. I reached for the cake. Her glow flared. Wait, don't. I took a bite. Silence. Then, her voice barely audible. Is it acceptable? I swallowed. It's good. She lit up, literally, a soft warmth shimmering across her chest and throat. Then, she whispered, perhaps I am not as dangerous as they say. I smiled. Or, I said, stepping closer, maybe dangerous isn't always a bad thing. Her breath caught. A single ember drifted off her cheek like a glowing tear. Not heat. Emotion. And that's when I realized the truth they never put in the warnings. The second day aboard the Embercrown began the same way the first had ended, with me waking up to the unsettling certainty that a dragon woman was watching me breathe. She claimed it was a traditional Dracono guardian posture. But when I opened my eyes and found Syraxis perched backwards on a chair, tail coiled around one leg, chin in her hands, wings half unfurled like a smug canopy, she looked a lot less like a guardian and more like someone judging the structural integrity of my bones. Or planning to hug them. Or break them. Or both. With her, the line blurred. She greeted me with a low rumble that, according to her translator band, meant good morning. According to my nerves, it meant I hope you taste like loyalty. I still wasn't sure which read was correct. The Draconel language was 90% subtext, 10% threat, and 1% accidental flirting. Or maybe accidental threatening. The two kept swapping places like quantum particles. Human, she said, voice rasping with that melodic grinding tone she insisted was normal. You tossed in your sleep. Were you fighting phantoms? Dreams, I corrected. Humans have dreams. Her eyes widened like I'd confessed to carrying a live explosive. Internal visions? Voluntary madness? She leaned in. Describe. No. That's no. They're just images and feelings, not. I hesitated. Okay, sometimes they're madness, but it's a human thing. Syraxis exhaled a curling ribbon of pale heat that tasted faintly like scorched cinnamon. When she did that, it usually meant confusion. Or admiration. Or she was thinking about eating breakfast. With her, it was hard to distinguish. You humans, she murmured, are astonishingly fragile yet behave as though the cosmos should adapt to you. She tilted her head. This is compelling. That sounds like an insult. It is not, she said softly. It is an invitation. My heart performed a complicated maneuver best described as crying for help while also preening. The duality of humanity. I stood, stretching, but her tail snapped out instinctively, coiling gently around my ankle before retreating as if realizing it had been caught acting emotional. She cleared her throat in embarrassment, wings twitching. That was not intentional, she lied. Of course not, I lied back. The Ember Crown hummed through its morning cycle, sunlight simulated across steel corridors. I followed Syraxis toward the navigation deck, where the rest of her clan watched us enter with expressions that ranged from mild disgust to calculating insurance premiums. From the first moment I'd arrived, they'd whispered warnings at me. She is dangerous. She is unpredictable. She is the clan's storm given flesh. She once bit a starship engine. That was one time, Syraxis would shout from across the hall. And it tasted like cowardice. To be fair, the engine had tried to start while she was repairing it. As we walked, she briefed me on the day's plan: escort negotiations with a neighboring enclave, monitor potential ambush signals, avoid accidentally instigating a ritual challenge. The last note was directed at me specifically. Yesterday, she said, voice low, when you called the high-scale ambassador dude, you nearly proposed marriage. I froze. What? In Draconel dialect? She elaborated. The word you used, dude, means shared fire and future hatch. Her wings hunched awkwardly. The ambassador is still considering. No. No. Unconsider. Deconsider. Undo whatever suggestion was made. Syraxis looked troubled, as though undoing things was a foreign concept. We do not retract. We burn new paths over the old. But I shall relay your refusal. She paused. It will disappoint him. The ambassador wanted to marry me? He admired your defiance, she explained. You called him bro. To Draconeliers, that is a declaration that you wish to protect someone with foolish bravery. That's just how humans talk. Then humans are more intimate than the galaxy suspects. I groaned into my hands. For a species carved from molten pride and ritual combat, the Draconel sure were sensitive. When we reached the hangar, Syraxis stopped me with a wing extended across my chest. Human, before we enter the shuttle, there is a matter we must address. Her golden eyes flickered with a storm behind them. The clan says you are soft. Yes? They say you are breakable. That if I court you incorrectly you will. She searched for the phrase. Perish romantically. That's not entirely wrong. She leaned closer, voice dropping into something dangerously earnest. I do not want to break you. Not even a little bit. Not even for fun. That is shockingly sweet and also terrifying. I attempt tenderness. She gently tapped my forehead with one clawed fingertip. Is it working? Define working. You have not run away yet. Give me a second. She huffed a laugh, at least I thought it was a laugh. It sounded like a furnace clearing its throat. Then she stepped back, posture straightening, trying to regain that regal, composed air she wore like armor. But the tip of her tail betrayed her nervousness, flicking rapidly. Once we boarded the shuttle, the engines flared with a guttural growl, and Syraxis strapped in beside me. The pilot glanced back, eyes narrowing at me with open distrust. If he dies, the pilot muttered in Draconel. She'll molt early from heartbreak. Very messy. Syraxis hissed softly, the sound layered with embarrassment and a warning. He will not die. He is mine. He is. She stopped herself. He is under my guardianship. The pilot looked unconvinced. I cleared my throat. Hey, I'm very good at not dying. It's my top 3 hobbies. Syraxis translated that for him. The pilot blinked slowly and said, Humans are strange. Syraxis replied, Deeply. The shuttle launched, streaking through clouds of dust and starlight. The meeting point loomed ahead, a floating diplomatic ring with a reputation for being neutral, which in Draconel terms meant everyone is equally suspicious and armed. As we approached the dock, Syraxis leaned closer, lowering her voice. There is one more translation matter. Oh no. When we meet the matriarch of the Enclave, she may touch your chest. This is not an attack. That's a relief. It's a test. Less of a relief. She will be checking your heartbeat to judge your truthfulness. Do not panic. Panic reads as arousal. I choked on air. Do humans always make that sound when warned? Yes, I gasped. Yes, we do. The shuttle latched onto the diplomatic ring with a heavy clank. Syraxis placed a hand on my shoulder, gentle, grounding, yet carrying the weight of someone who could bench press a shuttle. Human, she murmured, almost shy. Stay close to me. These halls are full of watchers. Are they dangerous? Yes, she said honestly. But so am I. The doors slid open, and the two of us stepped into the torchlit corridor, me with my heart pounding, her with wings half spread in protective instinct, the pair of us walking into a political arena where one wrong phrase could spark war, marriage, or both simultaneously. With my luck? Probably both. The diplomatic ring smelled like incense, molten metal, and the unmistakable tang of bureaucratic despair. Torches lined the walls even though the place was fully equipped with modern lighting, because, according to Draconel tradition, nothing said peace negotiations, like controlled fire hazards. Syraxis adjusted her cloak as we entered, wings folding neatly behind her like a warrior pretending she absolutely had not just threatened anyone on the shuttle ride over. Her hand clawed warm, steady, hovered near my back but didn't touch. She always did that when she was worried I'd do something catastrophically human. Which, to be fair, was statistically likely. We were greeted by two Draconel guards, each armed with ceremonial spears that hummed with plasma coils. Their eyes swept over me with the same expression most beings reserve for insects or unexpected paperwork. One leaned toward Syraxis. This is the human? Yes, she said in a dangerously even tone. He looks. The guard paused. Soft. Syraxis's tail snapped. He is resilient softness. Adaptive meat. Human. Oh, the guard said, as though I were a type of dessert. Fascinating. Syraxis gave me a tight smile that translated roughly to don't start a diplomatic incident, then led me deeper inside. The matriarch of the enclave waited in a chamber lit by bioluminescent vines that glowed in soft aquamarine arcs. Her scales were a shimmering spectrum of crimson and obsidian, and her presence radiated the same vibe as a stern grandmother who also ruled a lava empire. She approached us with deliberate steps, her eyes locking onto me with predatory curiosity. Syraxis bowed. I tried my best to bow too, but humans aren't built for it. I probably looked like a folding chair collapsing in slow motion. The matriarch inhaled sharply. He bends strangely. He is flexible, Syraxis offered. I am okay, I added, then tried to stand without wobbling. Mostly. The matriarch stepped closer. I remembered. Syraxis's warning too late, the chest touch ritual. Her hand, scaled, elegant, unnervingly warm, pressed against my sternum. My heart reacted like a nightclub DJ panicking during a fire drill. The matriarch's eyes widened. He is alarmed. Syraxis translated quickly. He panics easily. No, I protested. Not easily. Just consistently. The matriarch pressed again, judging the cadence of my pulse. His heartbeat is volatile. Chaotic. This one feels deeply. Syraxis exhaled softly. He does. And loudly. That too. The matriarch stepped back, satisfied. He will complicate matters. Syraxis's wings lifted slightly, pride disguised as indifference. Humans do that. The negotiations began with ritual seating, which meant 30 minutes of everyone arguing about who should stand where so no one accidentally implied dominance, submission, courtship, or insult. Draconel culture had so many layered meanings and posture that I could cause interstellar conflict just by leaning wrong. At one point, a minor official hissed at me because I instinctively put my hands in my pockets. Syraxis whispered, "Hands in pockets means you're hiding a weapon." I am hiding keys. And lint. Lint can be weaponized. Not on purpose. Intention does not matter, she said with gentle exasperation. The talks got underway. Syraxis stood as envoy for her clan, her voice strong and deliberate. I watched, amazed. When she spoke diplomatically, she shed the usual teasing ferocity and became something fiercely graceful, like a storm pretending to be a breeze, knowing full well it could still tear down cities. Her words were careful, measured, intentional. She wasn't just a warrior, she was someone who carried an entire people's trust on her shoulders. And she kept glancing at me, as if checking I hadn't started chewing on the decor out of nervousness. She needn't have worried about me. I was too busy being unreasonably mesmerized by her. The Enclave leaders debated trade routes, border rights, and migration patterns. Boredom crept in. My mind wandered. I wondered if Drakenel chairs were intentionally uncomfortable, or if my human spine was just unprepared for diplomatic furniture modeled after ancient thrones and ergonomic revenge. Then things went wrong. A minor dignitary from the Enclave, a slim Drakenel with silver-blue scales, stepped towards Syraxis and hissed something sharp. Syraxis stiffened. "What did he say?" I whispered. "That you should not stand beside me," she murmured without turning her head. "That humans do not belong at my side." Ah. Prejudice. Space racism. Classic. I opened my mouth to retort, but Syraxis touched my wrist lightly, a silent plea to let her handle it. Her expression remained composed, diplomatic, until the dignitary hissed again, low and mocking. This time I didn't need translation. Tone alone did the job. My brain, as always, chose violence and confusion simultaneously. "Hey! I may not speak your language, but I definitely heard the rude." The room went silent. Syraxis's wings flared in alarm. The dignitary hissed a challenge posture. I, because I possessed the survival instinct of a toaster, instinctively mirrored him. Arms out. Leaning forward. Brows knitted. I must have looked like a deeply offended chicken. A ripple of horrified whispering filled the chamber. Syraxis moved so fast I barely registered her hand gripping my shoulder. "Human, stop. Stop now. Immediately." "What did I do?" "You just accepted his courtship duel." My soul exited my body. "I what?" The matriarch coughed, a sound like molten gravel being sifted. "Syraxis, your human is bold. And foolish. A volatile mix. He is my volatile mix." Syraxis snapped, stepping between me and the dignitary with wings fully spread. Her voice dropped into a protective growl. "He is under my fire." The room shifted. Postures changed. The dignitary retreated a fraction, eyes narrowing. "You claim him?" he hissed. "Yes," Syraxis said loud and unequivocal. "He is mine." No translator needed. The declaration echoed through the hall with the emotional subtlety of a nuclear sunrise. My heart did something illegal. The dignitary glared, but he no longer dared push the challenge. The matriarch tapped her staff. "Enough. This negotiation is not the arena for such matters." Her eyes flicked to me. "Human, you may remain. But speak carefully. Your tongue wields accidental power." "Yeah," I muttered, cheeks warm. "I'm starting to notice." Syraxis escorted me away from the central circle for a moment, her hand gripping my forearm with a mixture of relief and frustration. "That was reckless," she whispered. "You could have been drawn into a duel of fire. I didn't mean to. I was just defending you." Her expression softened. Eyes glowing amber. "Humans," she breathed, "are remarkable disasters." She leaned closer. Not touching, but close enough for her heat to brush my skin. "My disaster," she added quietly. Then she straightened and returned to the negotiations with renewed confidence, wings high, voice sharp, gaze occasionally flicking toward me like a tether. And in that moment, I began to understand something dangerous and wonderful. Syraxis wasn't just protecting me. She was choosing me. The return flight from the Enclave should have been quiet. Negotiations had concluded, tense, slightly scorched in places, but technically successful. Fire had only been used twice, which apparently qualified as a diplomatic miracle. The matriarch had dismissed us with a stern nod and a warning for me to Learn the difference between greeting posture and blood feud posture. That was fair. Even Syraxis agreed. Now, inside the shuttle's dim cabin, Syraxis sat beside me, her wings pulled close, her posture unusually tight. She hadn't spoken since we left the ring. The silence wasn't threatening, it was that brittle quiet someone uses to keep their emotions from spilling everywhere. I nudged her gently. You good? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she studied her claws as if they were revealing ancient truths she wasn't ready to hear. Finally, she inhaled. You embarrass me, she murmured. Oh. But you also defended me. Oh. And you nearly accepted a courtship duel from an idiot who can't even ignite both nostrils at once. Wait, how many nostrils? Focus, she said, tapping my knee. The pilot pretended not to listen, though their ears were perked like satellite dishes. Syraxis turned fully toward me, eyes molten gold with something far too vulnerable for a warrior of her stature. When I said you were mine, she began carefully, I did not mean it as a claim of ownership. Drakenel do not own partners. We choose each other. With mutual fire. Her jaw flexed. But I worry that I forced you into something. You didn't, I said immediately. Her eyes flickered in surprise. You accepted so quickly. I panic fast. That is not reassuring. I chuckled, rubbing my neck. Look. I know our species are complicated together. Your fire and claws and ritual definitions of affection. I'm squishy and confused and very good at saying the wrong thing in multiple languages. I met her gaze. But I wasn't against it. She stared at me for a long, unblinking moment. Then her tail twitched, wrapping lightly around my ankle, the same instinctive gesture she tried to hide before. You would choose me? She asked softly. Yeah, I said. I think I already did. For a second, I thought she might combust. Her wings shuddered. A small curl of steam left her lips. Then she stood abruptly, marched 3 steps away, marched 3 steps back, paced in a circle, and finally announced, I need to break something. The pilot groaned. Not the shuttle. Fine, Syraxis muttered. I will break the air with a yell. She took a deep breath and let out a war shout so fierce it shook dust from the vents. The pilot flinched hard enough to hit a switch. The shuttle wobbled sideways. Syraxis! I am expressing emotion. Well, express it more quietly. Humans, she growled. And their rules. She returned to her seat, calmer but clearly embarrassed by the explosion of feelings. I didn't mind. It was oddly sweet. Sure, her stress response was a sonic boom, but humans cry over dog videos, so I wasn't judging. As the shuttle descended toward the Ember Crown, she finally spoke again. The clan will not approve. Of me? Of us, she corrected. They fear what humans represent. Chaos. Feeling. A willingness to break rules simply because they are in the way. So, being human. Yes. She hesitated. But they do not understand that your chaos strengthens me. My breath caught. Syraxis. No, she said gently. Let me finish. As the hatch opened and torchlight spilled into the bay, she stepped in front of me, her wings unfurling in a slow, deliberate gesture, protective, defiant, and openly vulnerable. A signal to anyone watching. Her clan was watching. Dozens of Drakenel stood waiting, staring at us with a mix of suspicion, curiosity, and the barely contained urge to hiss. Syraxis lifted her chin. The negotiations were successful, she declared. And the human performed with courage. She paused long. Enough for several elders to exhale disapproving heat. He is under my fire. If any have grievances, bring them to me. A murmur rippled through the hall. A few warriors bared their teeth in challenge, but none stepped forward. Syraxis's wings were enough of a deterrent. Her reputation as a walking conflagration handled the rest. Then came the Elder of Gravemark, a towering figure with scales dark as burnt stone. He walked forward slowly, eyes fixed on me. Ah, fantastic. A boss battle. Human, he said, voice deep enough to shake dust loose from the rafters. You nearly incited a courtship duel. Yes, I admitted. You are fragile. Medically confirmed. You misunderstand our customs. Constantly. You panic. Professionally. The elder's tail flicked. Then he leaned down until I could see my startled face reflected in his scales. And yet, he tapped his chest once, a gesture of reluctant respect. You defended our Saraxis. I blinked. Our Saraxis? She is clan. Oh. Right. You faced insult with instinct rather than logic. Chaos rather than calculation. Fire born of feeling. The elder straightened. That is very human. Saraxis stepped closer to me, standing shoulder to shoulder. The elder observed us both and sighed with the weight of someone accepting destiny against his better judgment. If she chooses you, he said, then the clan will not interfere. Gasps echoed around us. Saraxis stiffened with surprise. Elder. But, he continued, raising a claw, the clan will test you. I swallowed. Test me how? He smiled in a way that suggested taxes might be involved. That will be decided. Saraxis's wings flared. He is not ready. He is human, the elder replied. They are never ready. That is their charm. Saraxis looked torn between pride and sheer panic. I squeezed her hand. I'll figure it out, I whispered. Humans improvise. She let out a soft, trembling laugh. Yes. You do. The clan parted, giving us a corridor, lit by torchlight and wary glances. As we walked together toward her quarters, her hand brushed mine, hesitant, questioning. I laced our fingers. She inhaled sharply, wings lifting in stunned delight. This is intimate. Yeah, I said. That's the point. She looked at me like she was seeing stars she'd never noticed before. Human, she whispered, voice shaking. I warned them you were dangerous. Oh? Yes. She squeezed my hand. I told them you were the kind of danger that changes people. A slow grin tugged at my lips. And you? She leaned close, forehead nearly touching mine. Her breath brushed my cheek, warm, steady, fierce. I think, she murmured, I want to be changed. We stood at the threshold of her chambers, the ship humming around us, two wildly different beings held together by something irrational, reckless, and beautifully human. Fire and chaos. Scales and softness. Fear and choice. Whatever came next, tests, clan judgment, cultural catastrophes, we'd face it together. Saraxis drew me inside, wings folding protectively around us as the door slid shut. And for the first time since the galaxy had warned me about the dangerous dragon woman, I realized they were absolutely right. She was dangerous. But so was I.